Hey everyone, I'm Stephanie, and I believe that the right book at the right time can change lives, and that all readers should read children's literature, especially adults. So that's what we do here on the Kid Lit Love podcast. We celebrate all things children's literature: picture books, early readers, middle grade, and young adult novels for readers of all ages. In each episode, we'll talk with children's literature authors and discuss their books, their hopes, their dreams for readers, their writing process, and much, much more. Whether you're an adult reading to their inner child or connecting the young readers in your life with fantastic books, you've come to the right place. So grab a notebook to build your TBR, and let's get to today's episode of Kid Lit Love. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Kid Lit Love podcast. I'm Stephanie Affinito, your Kid Lit Loving host, inviting you back to another bookish conversation with a children's literature author. Today, I'm talking with Melanie Dale. Melanie has published multiple essays and nonfiction books for adults and is here to celebrate her upper middle grade novel release titled Girl of Lore. In this atmospheric paranormal novel, inner demons and town secrets collide in the haunting southern town of London, Georgia. It had me guessing on every page, it had me closing my eyes tightly on others, and truly inviting me into Mina's world. I can't wait to talk with Melanie all about it, so let's get right to the episode. Melanie, welcome to Kid Lit Love. I'm so glad you're here today.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here with you.
So I want to start with you and your backstory and your journey to children's literature because you've been writing. You've been writing for adults. There's essays, there's adult books, there's also zombies and yoga in your journey too. And I want you to tell us all the things.
I always say, probably not going to like everything I've done, but there's something for everyone.
Yes.
I've had a very eclectic career, and actually the zombies are what led me to children's literature. So yeah,
Okay, say more.
I have 4 nonfiction books, and I do live in Georgia. So the world that I've created for Girl of Lore, I created it from right where I live. And one thing that my area is known for is that we are where The Walking Dead was filmed for all those years. So I mean, literally almost in my backyard at times. And
Wow.
as I was writing for adults, I would occasionally escape my office and go play a zombie on The Walking Dead.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
I meant to just do it one time for fun. I liked the show, and I ended up loving it and became one of their regular zombies. And so I ended up coming back a lot. I was in full prosthetic makeup. I just absolutely loved it. So through that, and it gave me a chance to get out of my office and meet interesting people and learn a little bit about the film industry, which was just so fun. And through that process, I met Greg Nicotero, who is one of the executive producers and directors on the show, and he was in the process of starting developing Creepshow, which is a show based on the Stephen King movie that he ended up doing several seasons of for television on Shudder. And he knew that I was a writer, and because you spend a lot of hours in the makeup chair becoming a zombie. So, you get to know the people on the set and everything. And so he knew that I was a writer, and he was like, you should pitch me a story for Creepshow. And I said, well, I write nonfiction. And he kind of shrugged, and smiled. And I got home and I was like, well, could I?
Yeah.
Could I try? And I remember sitting at my desk being like, fiction, I could literally write anything. I'm not writing out of my life like anything. And it was so much fun. And that began the process of pitching stories for Creepshow. And I ended up getting to write several episodes of Creepshow and work with Greg Nicotero, who is just like such a legend in the horror world. And I learned so much from him. And so through that, my brain kind of clicked over to fiction, and I was like, gosh, it would be so much fun to write stories that I love to read.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when my son was in middle school, he was a prolific reader. My favorite novel of all time is Dracula, the original Bram Stoker Dracula. I love the classics. And I gave him a copy, I think in kind of an anthology, a whole bunch of horror, classic Gothic novels. I gave it to him. And so he's tried to start Dracula. And as he was reading it, the language is older and the pacing is different. And so for a middle grade reader, he just kind of got bogged down. Poor Jonathan Harker got stuck in that castle and never got out. And I was like, what can we do about this? And I thought, wouldn't it be so cool if the characters that I love in Dracula were teenagers going to high school in Georgia, and more relatable for my son and that demographic. And so that kind of kicked off this idea and began the process of Girl of Lore. And so and now it's finally coming to fruition. It took me 6 years from that inception of that idea to now it being just about to hit shelves. So excited.
Yes, hitting shelves tomorrow. If listeners are listening on the day of release, congratulations.
Thank you.
I love the tipping point from it, because as someone who also works a lot at home and a lot in her basement by herself, I
Mm-hmm.
love that this next phase, this new exciting thing that opened up for you is when you literally got out of your home and got out of your comfort zone, like literally out of your comfort zone and into someone else's skin.
Yes. Yes,
And
literally.
and that domino effect that had, that has just propelled you to children's literature. I love that.
It's fun, and it's like, what's the worst that could happen? It doesn't happen.
Right.
It, I'm one of those people that tries to take every opportunity, and I throw a lot of spaghetti at the wall, and not all of it sticks, right? So I was like, I have this incredible opportunity. Let me just see what happens. And so I'm just really thankful for the opportunities that I've had. And actually, you mentioned the yoga. Once the show, the Walking Dead wrapped up, I actually went through a bout with cancer and the whole process of going through cancer, surviving that, uh, and needed something new to get me out of the house, out of my office. And so I decided to become a yoga teacher.
Hmm.
And it's funny, it's an example of life imitating art, because when I wrote Girl of Lore, Mina, the main character, her mom in the book, I wanted to give her a cool job. And
Yeah.
so I made her a yoga teacher. And at the time, I was not a yoga teacher. That was not even on my radar. And in the process of working on the book, no longer being a zombie, needing to get out of the house and to find something to that I could work on outside of sitting in my chair writing, I became a yoga teacher. So I just decided to become like Mina's mom.
You know, I loved Mina's mom. I loved Mina's mom's vibe. I love how
Yes.
she did like glow in the dark. I just
Yes.
I loved it all. So I love.
Caroline's great. Well, I emulated Caroline. So
Yeah.
Caroline has taught me a lot.
Yeah. Yes. Yoga has taught me a lot too. Now, you mentioned Dracula as being a favorite. Have you always been a fan of horror or zombies, or tell me?
Yes. Okay. Yes. I grew up, I actually own all 56 Nancy Drew novels. I love mystery. My mom got me into those. Actually, she just finished reading Girl of Lore, and the greatest compliment, she's like, Melanie, it felt like a cross between Nancy Drew and Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. um, yeah. So when I was in second grade, I will never forget. It was new at the time. It's a very old book at this point, but a book called "In a Dark Room" was in our school library,
Hmm.
and it's kind of a horror anthology for kids, right? It's
Yes.
got that gothic feel to it, and I remember reading a book uh, about a woman named Jenny. Spoiler alert for anyone who has not read it, but you've had like 40 some years. um, Jenny had a green ribbon around her neck, and I read this story and I was so into it. And the last line of the book, she takes the ribbon off, and the last line is, and Jenny's head fell off.
Yes.
Oh, I was so energized. I was so locked in. It's the first time I had that feeling, that ghoulish
Yep.
delight. And I had a friend named Jenny, and immediately went and told
Yeah.
her that story. She did not appreciate those nightmares. But I just discovered this that spooky stories can tap into something emotional inside of us. And I just have loved it ever since. So I'm a huge fan. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And
such a good
especially
point.
Gothic. Gothic's my favorite. Give me haunted houses, give me spooky monsters, supernatural, give me all the the nightgowns, the cobwebs, the secret passageways. I love it all. Graveyards. So good.
All the things. I love how you said that it really gets to the emotion, right? So some
Yes.
of us might be thinking, "Oh, okay, I love horror. I love gothic. I am all in. I want that kind of spooky, tingly, oh my gosh, kind of vibe." And
Mhm.
others of us might be thinking, "Oh, I do not want that spooky, tingly kind of vibe." But that this genre, it allows us to experience emotion, which, reading is meant to change us in whatever way it does. And I feel like whether you are a fan of horror or you are not a fan of horror, because as I said in the beginning of this episode before we recorded, this is not a genre I would typically pick up, but I could not put your book down. Yes, it is horror. Yes, it is gothic. Yes, it is all the things, but it is also at its core a
Mm.
story that you just get sucked into with the family and the friends and the sibling and the your and or the lore and the clubs and the emotional inner world of the
Mhm.
character as well. So I want listeners to know we've been saying things like horror and spooky and tingly. This is a book for everyone, no matter if you think horror is your jam or not. This is a book that you will not be able to put down. So close an eye if you need to, in a part or two. But I read it and I loved it. And I don't normally say that about genres like this. So I want listeners to know that right off the bat. This is a book for everybody.
Thank you so much for saying that. I love that so much. And I love that you were brave and took a risk on it. There is so much love in this book.
Yes.
That there's just so much love, and the relationships in it between Mina and her mom, between Mina and her friends, maybe a little romance in there.
Yeah.
Um, the relationships are at the heart of it, and the paranormal, the gothic is the vehicle that taps into the emotions. It's really a story of Mina struggling with doubting herself and learning how to trust herself, and that's the heart of it. And these relationships that she works on and builds and struggles with, that's the heart of Girl of Lore. And
Mhm.
then all of the lore and the stuff around it is just a fun way to tell the story that I feel like draws the reader in to the mystery and suspense of it all.
Yes. Let's give the listener a little bit of the plot line. I'd love for you to tell them a bit about what the book is about. We've teased it, of
Mhm.
course, without, revealing any
Yeah,
spoilers here,
yeah.
but let listeners know what they can expect.
Okay. All right. Mina is a 15-year-old loner. She likes to lurk in the cemetery.
Mm.
She has a sketchbook. She loves to draw. She starts Lore Club at her high school to investigate local legends. She's there to investigate the local legends, to make friends, and also appease her mother, who we've talked about, Caroline. But along the way, she discovers a mysterious book, and she discovers a body that's been drained of blood. Bomb, bomb, bomb.
Yeah.
Um, and and then a classmate goes missing, and she begins to worry. So she started investigating these local legends, but she begins to worry that maybe the town's stories might be real.
Yeah.
And so she also struggles with OCD, which I have OCD. So I really wanted to write a character that would resonate with people like me. And I remember feeling that as a kid, not being able to trust my own brain. So a lot of the tension of this book is the monster lurking in the dark, or is it in her own brain?
Yeah.
And that's what she has to work through.
Yeah. And that beautiful pitch is exactly why it's for every reader. Because that story is going to draw you in. Mina's inner world could be the thing that draws you in, or it is the lore, or it is the stuff that happens around it. The entry points for all sorts of readers, especially at this age group,
Mhm.
are just going to lean into it. Oh, that was such a good, that was the perfect explanation without revealing, the amazing stuff that happens in the middle at the and the end of the novel.
And it's really for those kids, like tweens and young teens. It's for ages 10 and up and adults. I mean, hello, all my friends are reading it.
Absolutely.
But really age 10 and up, I noticed as a parent when my kids were in that age, it was sometimes difficult to find books, especially in this genre, for my kids' age that would be exciting for them, but also fit for their age group and where they
Yeah.
were. So I was really excited when I met my editor Jesse at Simon and Schuster that we both had the vision for that this would really just be for tweens and young teens and exciting, but also a book that I would hand any 10-year-old
Yeah.
happily.
Yeah. Without reservation,
Yeah.
knowing here, this is good for you. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. That is a very fine line sometimes, right? As parents, we worry about everything.
It's
But
challenging. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So it's nice to have
Mhm.
a book that is kind of edgy and exciting and oh my gosh, I want to read it, yet also knows there isn't anything that's going to put them, at a maturity level that they're not ready for.
Right, right. The scares, like it is spooky. The scares are there, but it's also in and like I would have no trouble giving this to a 10-year-old and feel like it's not going to it's not going to hurt them.
Yeah.
It's really age appropriate quality spooks are in there.
Yeah. Yeah. They'll be looking for them. They
Yeah.
they will be looking for them for sure.
Hmm.
I think what's also really appealing about this book, or at least it was for me and the themes that went through it, especially for this middle grade, upper middle grade audience, is this focus on identity and
Mm,
really finding your family, finding your home, finding yourself, and knowing that it's all okay. It's all good, no matter what it is, and that acceptance.
mm.
I would love for you to talk about what you think about that or what you think some of those core ideas might be that come out of the book for readers as well.
Mm. Mina and her sister in the book are both adopted and adopted from different ways and with different backstories, which my both of my daughters, we adopted both of them at different ages and different continents. And I wanted the Mina and her sister to struggle with, I wanted to show the struggle with identity that I have seen happen in my own household. I think every kid struggles with identity.
Yes.
I know I did. And for Mina and her sister to struggle, the natural struggles that you have with who am I, who are my friends, am I likable, just what do I have to offer the world, what do people think about me, all of that is in there. And then they also have some layers just with identity as far as where do I come from, who are
Yeah.
my people, what is my origin, that I have really gotten to be a part of shepherding my own kids through, right here in my home. And so I wanted to make that authentic for what my characters were struggling with as
Mhm.
well. Just
Yeah.
and that found family of their adoptive mother and all of the love that's there, but also that um trying to figure out that hole that they have for like where did I come from,
Mhm.
who are my people. And
Yeah.
so there's a lot of layers there with there's
Yeah.
a lot of layers with family
Yeah.
in the book, and identity, and so that was really it was a challenge as a writer, and I'm really proud of the way that I was able to tell Mina's story.
You should be. It's
Oh.
beautiful.
Phew.
I'd love to go back to what you said about Mina having OCD and that being represented in the book because
Mhm.
I think the beauty of books is that for some kids they will feel seen and
Mhm.
heard and feel like this book is for them. And then for other kids it gives them a window into what
Mhm.
life and daily thinking might be like from someone else or
Yeah.
for someone else. I think myself included, just learning from the therapy sessions that are included, learning from how her best friend, how Jackie talks to her, and understands her, I think you've also have this extra layer that doesn't feel like an extra hard layer. It is so just intricately related to the story, but it just opens up this idea for both of those readers who either are coming to feel seen or are coming to learn. I just thought that was such a really magnificent part of the novel.
Thank you. That's fantastic to hear. Yeah, I wrote it because I know there are other people like me who are struggling in their own brains and figuring out, you know, your brain sometimes feels like the enemy. OCD is very challenging. And there are also people who, when you think OCD, people think, oh, it's people who like to clean a lot or like to organize. And it's not. There's a lot to obsessive compulsive disorder. And so I wanted to really show a, a real window into what it looks like for someone who struggles with OCD to live in the world, and the real struggles that they have. And it is a challenge. And it's a challenge for her as she relates to her friends and family. And it's a challenge for her figuring out the mysteries within the book as well. So, um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, the OCD, I was a child of the 80s and a teen of the 90s, and we didn't know a lot about, like, I did not know a lot about my own brain. And it wasn't until as an adult that with therapy, I was able to start unpacking what this looks like in my life, how I can cope with it, how I can live with it. And so I really wanted to give some of that insight. It's kind of like me as an adult giving some of that back, like, to my child self. Like, here, I'm going to equip you with a therapist and people who can help you. And what's really cool, and I have her permission to say this, the editor, Jesse, who edited this book, also has OCD. So the two of us together were able to really develop really flesh out what that would look like on the page. So
Yeah.
I was
That's
really
why it's
so
so beautiful
thrilled.
then. Yeah, that
Yeah,
makes
I was
even
so
more sense
thrilled.
now. Yeah.
Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
I will say too, I can't say exactly what happens,
Mhm.
um, but I want listeners to know there is a part in the book where I just had to stop reading and hug it. I had to hug it. I had to hug Mina because something related to the OCD and the therapy and the sister had happened. And I just wanted to hug her. And so I can't say what it is, and that's okay. You know, listeners are going to get it, they're going to want to know. So they're going to read it. But how all of that just connected to the family, to the OCD, to the lore, to the friendships, to the siblings. It's just the connections here are just so beautiful throughout the book. Listeners, you have to read it for this part so you can hug the book too.
Thank you. Mina needs your hugs. I really appreciate that.
Yes, he does need her hugs there. With your book officially releasing into the world tomorrow on your book birthday, what is your hope for the book or for the readers who get the chance to read
I hope that lots of readers get to read it. I hope that Mina gets a lot of hugs like you gave her a hug.
it?
I love that. And I hope readers have fun with it. It was such a joy to write, and the characters have such a playfulness to them, and there's such a great camaraderie with this friend group. And so I hope that in addition to that wonderful spooky feeling that I love when I read Gothic literature, I hope that kids have so much fun as they read it. And when they finish the book, they feel like they've got a whole new set of fictional friends.
Hmm. That is exactly what is going to happen. And I would add, whether you are a middle grade reader or you are an adult reader reading to that inner child, your inner child is going to find them as well. Where is the best place that listeners can find you so that they can keep up with all the things you do and any other writing that might come in the future?
Yes, I would love that. I have a website, melaniedale.com, and I'm on Instagram and Substack at Melanie R. Dale.
Well, thank you so much again for coming on to the podcast and celebrating your new book. I loved our conversation.
Thank you so much, Stephanie.
You're welcome. And listeners, thank you for listening to another episode of Kidlit Love, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for listening to today's episode of the Kidlit Love podcast. You'll find links to all of the books, resources, and ideas mentioned in the show notes and at alitlife.com. You'll also find Kidlit Love on Substack. That's where you'll find posts for each episode, monthly Kidlit roundups, and an invitation to join my summer book club and go deeper into the world of children's literature. And if you loved this podcast and want more, you might like to listen to my other podcast called Get Literate. It's a podcast that explores all things books and reading, notebooks and writing to build a life you love. One more thing. If you love what you listened to today, please take a moment to rate and review the podcast, or take a screenshot of the episode and text it to a friend. This helps the podcast grow and builds our bookish community of kid lit love. Thanks for listening.